Welcome to another daily database insight. For you to be able to build SSIS packages, uh, report, mobile reports or report RDLs, you're going to need to install Visual Studio. So I'm going to walk you through the process of installing Visual Studio Community 2022. Pretty much you're going to just browse for it, and then you'll click that link that I just showed you on the screen. You will click download, and this here is going to download. So I will launch it and run it as administrator, and this is actually gonna launch that, and it is gonna start setting up a few things here. Again, this is pretty much the same framework that the SQL Server Management Studio is actually running on. So I will actually get that, and I need that for other things. And then and also I'll also just check that too. Well, that's a lot of stuff. Let me see if I need to change this location. I don't need to keep that because that's just gonna take up space. Let's see how much space I have. I'll put it on F drive. I think F drive has enough space. So let me come back here. I'll create for it its own location right there. And then I will go ahead and install it. Well, before I go ahead, let me just make sure I have everything I need. Yeah, looks good to me. All right, so that's gonna start running. Ooh, yeah, I need to close that. That's probably something else that's running behind the scenes, an older version of Visual Studio. So closing that. Now I'm trying to install Visual Studio 2022, and then I'm gonna, well, that is running actually. I can go ahead and start downloading the packages that we need. For SSIS packages and report services, and actually SQL Server analysis services. And that is going to be, I think it's going to be the marketplace for Visual Studio right here. All right, let me find this. So this is the one that I need for 2022. So I'll download this one. And while that is downloading, I'll come back to tools, and I will look for SSRS report services, and I think this is let's see this one. This is for Visual Studio 2022, so this is the other thing I need. And then lastly, I'm gonna look for analysis services, and this one, Visual 2022 release, yeah, and this is the last thing I need. Okay, so we have downloaded everything we need, and now let's see the progress of this. So this is still installing. Once this is completed, I'm going to walk you through the process of setting up your Visual Studio so that you can get ready to build cubes, reports, and SSIS packages. I'll pause this and I'll resume when this installation is done. So the Visual Studio has been created. I'll skip that, and I will log in later, but for now I am going to demonstrate here. So this is the Visual Studio 2022. I'm going to try to create a new project, and while doing so, if I scroll down all the way, you'll realize that I don't have a project related to SQL Server Integration Services or SQL Server Analysis Services or SQL Server Report Services. And that is the reason why we needed to download those MSI installations. So let's go ahead and install these real quick, these extensions. So the first one is going to be an easy installation. So I'll just right click it, run it as an administrator. Then I'll say yes, and then it's going to show up on the screen. Click OK. Next, there's a community edition. Alright, it needs me to close the Visual Studio, which is fine. I'll close this one out, and I will close this one out, and then I'll try it again. Let's see which one is that. That might be my SQL Server Management Studio. So I've closed that one as well. I've clicked OK. And I've clicked to install. Yes. So the SQL Server Management Studio was also blocking it. I'll pause it and I'll resume once the installation is complete. Alright, so this installation is complete. I'll close it, and I'm gonna go ahead and also install the SQL Server Analysis Services and the reporting services before I launch Visual Studio again. So I'll double click. Let me see. I'll open it right there. Okay, double click it. And use the version selector. And then I'm gonna say yes, and it's gonna start initializing. I'm gonna pause this again. So it looks like I downloaded the wrong versions, but If you're seeing my screen, I have an option to get the newer versions, and we're gonna go through the Visual Studio to get it. Or actually, let me click here. Yeah, that then didn't get it to me. I will launch it and we will get it from the extension. So 1 second. So we have to download the Visual Studio for 2022 because the ones I downloaded were for 2019. Alright, I'm launching Visual Studio now. Alright, it's launched. Bringing it down. There it is. So I'll go to Tools. Actually, I just need to go to Extensions. Manage Extensions. And then I'm gonna type here Analysis. So this is the one I need. I'll click on Install. So it's gonna download it. Wait for it for 9 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, it's ready. Oh, and since that's gonna need me to close the Visual Studio, so let me come back here, and I'm just also gonna find the report. Looks like we got it here. This one. Microsoft Reporting Services Projects. This is the one I need. So I'm going to download it as well. And looks like it is downloading as well. It's done. Okay, so the next thing is I need to close that Visual Studio. Or actually, I will open the file. And I'll start with this one. Double click it. So that is the analysis services. I'll let it install and then I will resume once it's installed. Alright, so now it shows here that I'm actually installing the analysis services projects for Visual Studio Community 2022. So I'll go ahead and click install, and I'm gonna end the tasks that are blocking me, and it's gonna go ahead and install it. So I will unpause once it's done. So the installation is complete. I'll close that, and then I'm going to install the reporting services as well. So it's initializing. I'll pause and then I'll resume when we're ready to install. There you go. So now the reporting services projects is ready to be installed on Visual Studio 2022. kick this off, and I'll pause it and resume when it's completed. Alright, so the reporting services project is also installed. I'll close it, and then I'm gonna go back and launch Visual Studio. So let's launch it. And then now I'm gonna try to create a new project. When I do this, now you can see I have analysis services, multi-dimensional projects. I have analysis. I have integration services project, and I also have report server project. See that? So that is how you add all those projects to your Visual Studio. And so for just demonstration purposes, I'll go ahead and create my integration services project. I clicked the wrong thing there. Integration services project. I go to next. I'll just call it that for now. Create it. Let's open it here. And so this is where you do your ETL, extraction, data, and extraction, transformation, and loading, based on all this good stuff that we have over here. So you could come over here and get your, OLEDB source connection. You could create a data task flow, drag it over there, double click it, and then now you have the opportunity to have your source and your destination connections, and you can do multiple different types of transformations based on what you're trying to do. That's how you set up your Visual Studio 2022 with all the different projects that are going to be very, very instrumental when it comes to operating in the database world. And in this case, you can transfer data across different database vendor products. As long as you have this tool here, it's going to help you. And then this is just one of the tools that you may need to learn, but that is how you set up your Visual Studio. If you have any questions, you need to leave a comment on the comment section. If you know anybody else who's struggling to set this up, you must show them this video. Otherwise, have a good night and